The Amazon rainforest is being changed forever. Dramatic deforestation is cutting a swathe from Brazil to Bolivia. Despite years of campaigns, the felling and burning continues, with potentially disastrous consequences for the global environment. I'm travelling to the Bolivian Amazon with Kris to find out what's going on and report on the battle for the rainforests. Where I'm going is very remote, the province of Beni, which borders Brazil. Beni might look like a tropical paradise, but the reality is life is very tough. If Bolivia is the poorest country in South America, Beni is one of its poorest provinces. And the poorest communities are usually the indigenous people of the area. The vast majority of people here are farmers, doing what they can to live off the land. Less than a third have access to clean water or electricity, and healthcare and secondary education is sparse. Bolivia's drive to develop economically forms the background to this story. Ironically, the poor infrastructure and roads here have helped to protect the rainforest. That's starting to change. Trees are being cut down and fast. Loggers are cutting deep into the forest, and ranchers are moving in and clearing and burning huge areas for their herds. And all this used to be virgin rainforest. And if you look back there, you can quite easily see that the edge of the rainforest has been moved back at least a couple of hundred meters. The number one reason for deforestation in Bolivia is large-scale soybean production, with cattle ranching and logging also big factors. Now, Bolivia is a very poor country, and it's understandable that it needs to develop its agriculture and economy. But surely that doesn't have to mean wholesale destruction of the forests.
Now you can clearly see the line between the end of the rainforest and the start of the cattle pasture. That's big commercial farmers muscling in on communities here without any care at all for the environment.
I wonder how landowners here can justify the destruction they're causing. I go and meet a local cattle rancher and put these questions to him. It's often the loggers and the cattle ranchers specifically who are blamed for the mass deforestation of the Amazon basin. I just wonder what your views are on this as someone who works the land and works with the rainforest every day.
Gracias a la destrucción que han hecho ustedes de su medio ambiente, de sus montes, de su todo, están económicamente bien. Se ha industrializado eso. Y están bien. Ahora, quieren que nosotros nos quedemos abajo, que no hagamos industrialización de nuestros montes, porque es importante para el medio ambiente.
It's true that we already destroyed our own forests in Europe a long time ago and industrialized in the process. But does Bolivia have to do the same?
Hemos hecho algunas investigaciones que nos dan cuenta, por ejemplo, que en 5 años más ya no existirán bosques naturales de mara, porque han sido talados indiscriminadamente. Es realmente un problema en el Beni la deforestación, considerando que los ganaderos cada vez que van a sembrar nuevas hectáreas de pasto, cortan el monte y van sacando la madera. Grandes espacios del monte natural se convierten luego en pampas, ¿no?
Carminia explains that the historic background to the problem is land ownership. Since the 1970s, the Bolivian government has encouraged the population and development of the fertile lands of the Amazon basin. But this has been a chaotic and unequal process. Those with power and influence have often just moved in and grabbed large pieces of land for themselves at the expense of local communities.
And this is what they're fighting for, land. Indigenous people who have lived and farmed here peacefully for generations now have to face outsiders coming in and laying claim to the land, simply pushing them aside for these large-scale cattle farms.
What do you say to the people who have accused you of robbing their land?
Tengo la documentación de mi tierra. Si por azares del destino, si por cuestiones políticas o de mayor fuerza económica me llegaran a quitar mi tierra, estoy dispuesto a que esas personas responsables de haberme robado mi tierra, porque ya es un robo, estoy dispuesto a no permitir que la disfruten por cualquier medio. Yo no me voy a quedar vivo hasta que esas personas responsables de haberme robado mi tierra estén bajo tierra.
Esta es una situación bastante antigua, ¿no? Bastante antiguo el conflicto por la tierra, y entendemos que en un primer momento la gente ganadera aprovechó la ingenuidad, la amistad de los indígenas para ingresar a sus tierras. Y además de eso, en esa época la gente indígena no conocía sus derechos porque no tenía la posibilidad de informarse, y tampoco había gente que le apoyara.
There's now a new legal process happening across Bolivia which hopes to settle these kind of disputes. Hearing about this dispute has been a real eye-opener. It shows the true power of landowners here to do what they want with the land they occupy, and how hard it is for local communities to do anything about it.
It's clear that the work Sipka is doing here is vital. Why shouldn't these communities get the legal titles for the land they live on and farm?